Okay. Uh, Good morning, class. Uh, Today we are going to start a new topic. But before we start a new topic, we want to remind ourselves of what we learned on the previous lesson. So during our previous lesson, we had learned about the audit program. And we said audit program is a detailed plan of the audit which by which the auditor uh, uses to plan his work of audit during the exercise. And so today we are going to start a new topic, and that is audit evidence. That is audit evidence. And so our objective for today is that we are going to define the term audit evidence. And number two, we are going to identify as sources in which the auditor obtain the audit evidence. The third objective is that we are going to see also the qualities of the audit evidence. So, class, audit evidence, audit evidence is the information which the auditor finds or obtains in order to support the financial uh, statements on which his or her audit opinion is based. So that is the definition of the audit evidence. And so we are going to see the next objective. We want to see on the next objective. The next objective is sources in which the auditor obtains audit evidence. And we can have a look at on my PPT on the methods of obtaining the audit evidence. As you can see, methods are those ways where an auditor is able to have those supporting documentations that supports the financial statements of any given particular concern. And so the auditor is mandated or is given an obligation to ascertain those sources of information that the audit, the financial, that his opinion will be based. And so we are going, we are going to start by the first method that the auditor uses is inspection. Inspection consists of examining records, documents, and or tangible assets. It provides evidence with respect to existence, but not their value and ownership. So as you can see, this method of inspection is just having a look at on those records that supports the documentations of the financial statements. So it's just merely having checking through those records and inspecting whether those records are really exist. So number two is that an auditor also uses observation method. With the observation method, this involves looking at procedures being performed by others. This is, for example, in stock counting, that is stock taking, by the personnel clients of the personnel. So while the exercise is being done or the process of stock taking is being done, then the auditor observes the procedures of doing that stock taking process. So it ensures that even the counting process is hard, is hard. The counting process is hard and it's in order and deal from the first item to the last item. Also, recording of the same information that has been counted should have that precise manner and order in which they are recorded. Number three is the inquiry and confirmation. This method consists of seeking information from knowledgeable persons inside and outside the company. So, while confirmation is the response to inquiry to corroborate information contained in the financial statements. Maybe, for example, secularizations of data can be done. So the auditor has the duty of seeking to know of the information that might have an impact on his decision making. So he has to seek the information from either the inside the management or inside the company from the senior management, and perhaps the same information can be useful in making his decision on the opinion uh, to decide. So at the same time, if the auditor feels that the effect of the information is not that impactful or is not that material to effect or to influence the change in his opinion, then he considers it immaterial. Some other areas where the auditor may seek, like even data circulation, the auditor seeks to understand the account in respect to debtors. So he wants to assure or to clarify whether the debtors of the companies are reliable and they are accurate. So the accounts has to be compared against the statements of they are given at any point in time. So they ensure that payments are also made, whatever payments made by the debtors or the customers of that company has been reflected in their respective accounts in the books of the company. So that confirmation is also one of the methods that the auditor uses to get the evidence, audit evidence, to support or to corroborate information contained in the financial statements. And we have another method is recalculation and reperformance. So these methods involve checking arithmetic accuracy of the source documents and accounting records. So in performing independent computation, the auditor also affirm himself of the accuracy that is done in the financial records. Maybe if there are provisions which the company as used as per the policies of that company, maybe the policies of the provisions of debtors, the provisions, other provisions which the management have put in place. So they want to ensure that those provisions are calculated according to the policies, or if or according to the policies of the organization, or if the provisions of depreciations about the assets of the company, then it has to be done according to the regulation on the asset depreciation, provisions on the assets depreciation. So the auditor has to ascertain himself or herself of the right rates that has been applied in calculating those. And so he may have to redo himself, redo or do by himself or herself, so that he can compare against that computed by the client. So that is another method where a reperformance of the same can be done by the auditor to obtain the audit evidence in his report. And lastly, we have the analytical procedures. This method also is the analysis of the relationship, such as between items of financial data, to identify the consistency and predicted patterns or significant fluctuations, unexpected relationship, and results of the investigation thereof. So it means actually the auditor should plan his audit in order so that he may have reasonable assurance of making decision in his opinion. He wants to make reasonable assurance on his auditing procedures to ensure that even when there is inherent risk in the internal control system of the organization, this plan procedures is able to detect and prevent fraud and errors. So it should be able to have that procedure that will ensure that even in analyzing the financial position of that company, it should be able to have that assurity of the trend of the financial statements or the financial records of the company uh, for the past years. So it is also conclusive for the auditor to give himself assurance of the possibility of weakness in the internal control system. And he should be able to identify using his procedures, he should be able to detect those weaknesses and can be able to evaluate the internal control record. At the same time, you should confirm and record those areas which they found culpable uh, of making his decision to be compromised. So, in other words, the analytical procedures are those control procedures where the auditor has to exercise his professional judgment in relying on the account or in relying on the internal control system of that organization to be able to support his uh, decision on the obedient process. So those are some of the methods that we have looked at where the auditor can obtain the information on the audit evidence. So with these few methods we have learned, I want to say I want to say that an auditor can be able to obtain sufficient and appropriate information that can support his opinion, or where in which his opinion is based, so that at the end of the day, the auditor is able to ascertain himself of which type of opinion he has to express on those financial statements. So thank you, and may God bless.